Hello and welcome to my booktube channel, Jack in the Book Stack, where I talk about a wide variety of book genres and the bookish lifestyle. In today's video, I'm going to do a reading vlog of a long-awaited book series that I've wanted to experience for myself. Of course, I'm talking about The Way of Kings, which is book 1 in the Stormlight Archives. This is going to be the first video in a series this year where I read all the books in the series leading up to December when book 5 comes out, which will be the final book in this part of the series. And I am so excited. I am so excited to try reading the Stormlight Archives for the first time because so many fantasy booktubers say that this is their favorite fantasy series of all time. And Brandon Sanderson is quickly solidifying himself as one of my favorite authors. In fact, I have a playlist dedicated to him where I'm trying all his books, and so many of them have really blown me away. I am really enjoying this journey, and so this is like the cornerstone series that he is known for. For this reading vlog, I am going to read each of the sections and do a check-in with you, giving you my spoiler-free reaction to what's going on, give you like a high-level summary of what has happened in that section. And it is very high level because as I'm going through it, I don't know what could be a spoiler or not, but I will come back at the end, surprisingly wearing the same thing that I am now, and tell you my overall reaction and analysis of this book, but still keeping it spoiler-free. Going into the Stormlight Archives, I had no idea what the series was about, and especially The Way of Kings, no idea what the plot was or what to expect, other than what I have heard is that this book is very much intended to be like a foundation setting. It was going to be slower paced, and I may not get a lot of answers in this. We're just introduced to the magic system, some of the components, but I was expecting to be a little bit confused. So those were the expectations I had going in. I knew nothing about the characters, the plot, the magic, absolutely nothing. The other thing I went into this knowing is that I hate the cover. I have been tormenting myself for ages over wanting to try this series, but like not knowing which editions to get because I think this is the US hardcover, but it's the same art for the US paperback. It's hideous. I think it's very masculine, 1980s, 1990s, like it's like stereotypical fantasy and why I always steered away from the genre. Something about this just really rubs me the wrong way. And I know that's like superficial and silly, but I judge a book by its cover and don't act like you don't do the same. If I had my preference, I really like the UK hardcovers. These are the ones that I would really love to collect, but I think you can only buy like the first and the fourth. I bought this one from Blackwell's, which is a UK online bookstore, and you can't get like the other two. The middle ones, and I have no idea what book 5 will be, and that's what really stresses me out. Like I can guarantee book 5 will match this set, but I can't guarantee it will match this set when they don't even sell 2 and 3. And there is a publisher that has a special edition of these covers, but like red sprayed and stenciled edges, but those are just too costly per book. And again, I don't know if book 5 will be offered in the same, so I can't invest in that. And then, because I am insane, I couldn't decide. I had analysis paralysis, and I'm like, I'll just buy all editions. Why not? I bought the paperbacks, which these bug me because one book is broken into 2 parts. And what am I supposed to do with that? Am I supposed to rate that as like 2 books read on GoodReads? That's wild. But this is part 1, and this is part 2, and I love this art. This art is really cool, right? It's kind of like that hardcover. So this has been seriously stressing me out. But what I decided, if you haven't seen, I've recently got into rebinding books. And so I want to rebind my editions of the Stormlight Archives. And I have all of them right here. So here's the other ones that I own. So this will be like my final project for 2024. I'm trying to practice the skills and learn what materials I like so I can rebind these covers. I have a really cool idea for these. I mean, super cool. I'm so excited for this final project. That's enough chit chat though for an introduction. Let's go ahead and jump into book 1 of the Stormlight Archives, The Way of Kings. Look, it is hailing. This rarely happens in Phoenix. I finished part 1 in The Way of Kings, so I wanted to do a little bit of a first impression check-in. First impression is that I had no idea what was going on. It took me a while to figure things out. I think between like the prologue and just different points of view, it was kind of confusing. And I did hear that this book really sets the foundation for the Stormlight Archives, so I'm expecting a lot of world building. Here's why I'm confused, because this starts off with a prelude to a Stormlight Archive, which I really had no idea what was going on. That's still lost on me. And then we jump to 4,500 years later for the start of this book. There's a prologue where we meet this character, Zeth, who appears to be like this assassin, like this king-killing assassin. So that's cool. Okay, I'm on board with that. He was an interesting character. I enjoyed that section. And then we go to part 1, and in chapter 1 we meet this character Sen, who was a sweet little kid, right? Going into battle for the first time. He's kind of inexperienced. But then chapter 2, it's like 8 months later and he's dead, and we have no idea what happened. No idea. So my initial impressions are like, well, crap, we're gonna have multi-POVs and frequent time jumps. And that really disorients me and takes me out of the story. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But it is Brandon Sanderson, and he has this way of like a straightforward writing style, so I'm hoping it will pan out. I did get my bearings a little bit better as part 1 played out, so the confusion did not last too long. There are 2 other characters that I have met. The first one is Kaladin, and I am loving his journey so far. I'm really rooting for him. He was this badass soldier with a heart of gold, one of those like no man left behind type leadership styles, and he has fallen on some hard times. He has found himself in a very difficult position, and I'm really rooting for him. I am excited when it's his POV. Then we have Shalyn, and she's working on this scheme and this plan that honestly I don't care too much about. I'm not invested so much in that story, but I actually really like her because she's very smart and strategic. And there's this one scene where she goes into a book merchant and he's being super condescending to her, and she's requesting all these books on history and philosophy, and he's like, no, a girl like you wouldn't want that kind of a book. How about I show you this romance novel? That's what women really want to read about. And the way she just puts him in his place, I'm floored. I love her. That was awesome. That was my favorite part in the book so far. Don't ask me about the magic system. I have no idea. I have no idea. Someone please explain it to me. Actually, don't. I'm gonna keep reading because I think I've heard like with this world building, like you're kind of dumped in at first with the magic, but it'll be explained throughout. So I'll learn more about that. So I don't know. I wish I had a better grasp on the magic system, and I don't yet, but I'm gonna trust in the Brando Sando and hope that all will be revealed to me in time. have finished part 2 in The Way of Kings. I'm still really enjoying it. So in this section, we're still following Kaladin, and I love his story. I said that he has found himself in a really tricky situation, but now he's decided to do what he can to make the best of it for himself and those around him. I love reading characters like this, ones that are really kind and intelligent and resourceful and strategic, and not to mention like a badass soldier or fighter. Like, he is very, very powerful in so many different ways. And now that he's dedicated to making the men around him better, really excited to see what is going on with them. We are introduced to 2 more characters in this part, Dalinar and his son Adolin. So Dalinar was brothers to the king. The king was killed, and so his son has taken over. So Dalinar's nephew is the king, and so he's trying really hard to protect him. And it's kind of difficult. There's a lot of political maneuvering going on. The king is very paranoid about assassination attempts, and he may not be wrong. We don't quite know. But Dalinar and his son Adolin are also struggling because they're getting kind of a rough reputation among the other leaders, the other high princes. So they're all at war, trying to get vengeance for the fallen king. And Dalinar's kind of losing faith in this battle. He's like, hey, it's been 6 years, we're not any closer, maybe we should get home and like take care of our people. And so he's starting to question things. And so the other high princes are starting to see him as weak. And his own son Adolin is starting to question him because Dalinar's getting these visions. And it's never good. It's never good when people are like mumbling to themselves and seeing things and talking about strange things that nobody else is. So Adolin's he wants to believe in his father because his father has this reputation of being a great, great warrior. But he's starting to question him. Admittedly, their sections are kind of hard to read because I really don't like the everybody thinks I'm crazy type of tone or trope in a book. And that's what's going on here. Even Dalinar's doubting himself. Everyone around him is doubting him and his strategy because he could be going crazy. So I don't really like that, but there's plenty going on in the plot and in the politics. So there's enough to keep me going. Those sections just slow me down a little bit. There is still plenty more to go. So many other things can happen. So I'm going to keep going to part 3. I just finished part 3 in which we followed Kaladin and Shallan, and oh my gosh, I have so many emotions. First of all, we got more backstory or like these flashbacks on Kaladin, and my heart is broken, shattered by what he went through to get to his current situation. It just sucks. But I really like his present day story and what he's doing there to help out the men that he's supporting, and really nervous about this plan. I'm also really curious what has just happened to him. He was injured, but came back, bounced back from his injury very well, and there's something going on there, I suspect. Very interesting. And my girl Shallan, wow, she made a stupid move. Stupid move, which I was hoping she wouldn't do, but she did. And what I've enjoyed in her storyline is her debate with ethics, like what makes things okay, and really thinking about intent behind actions and if that's what makes something okay or not okay. Like if you're doing something for selfish reasons, if you're doing them for heroic reasons, if that changes what you do. So I liked that conversation, and interesting twist with her, twist in circumstances, a little bit of karma for her bad decision that she made. Can't say I didn't see it coming, but everything is revealed and she is kind of wincing in shame right now, and it sucks because something else is going on with her and I wish she was more vocal about it. It's like, girl, you have nothing left to lose. Why don't you just come clean with all these weird things that have been going on with you rather than keeping it a secret? I would like some information, please. And she didn't, so she's kind of on my nerves right now. But so far, so good. I have to read the interludes next, which this is Baxil, Geranid, and Zeth again. Zeth is the one that I'm familiar with, who was the assassin at the very beginning that was killing kings. So excited to see what's going on with him. The interludes kind of frustrate me a little bit because they feel out of place. I know they're going to tie everything together, and that's probably what will be so impactful in maybe this book or the series, but right now I'm like, no, I want to get back to Kaladin. Let's go, move along. But I'm going to read those interludes and then continue on to part 4. Hopefully finish this up tonight. Tonight might be ambitious to finish this much, but tonight, tomorrow for sure. I just finished. I mean, I just read the last page and my mind is blown. Okay, I don't know what I just read. I feel like I need to flip back a little bit and reread a couple things, or maybe I'm not supposed to understand. I don't know. So much happened at the end. Like it was such a page turner. Such a page turner. I love what happened with the plot and these characters. Like, I feel like I would die for these characters. I want so badly for things to turn out okay for them, but like the larger plot and situation, I'm so confused by the magic and the world building. I need to think on this a little bit, digest, but I'll come back and do like a full wrap up of things because I'm speechless. I've had some time to think about The Way of Kings overnight, to think about how to articulate this review, because as you can see, I was really speechless yesterday when I finished it. So I think I want to go into a little bit more about the plot. I want to do an overview of the characters. I want to talk about the magic system, the tone, and then my overall review of the book. The overall plot in The Way of Kings was very typical fantasy, in my opinion. We have a war. Our characters are involved in a war. Some people have abilities in magic. Some people want abilities in magic. Some people are oppressed. Some people are very entitled. Like, this is just kind of the backbone, I think, of the fantasy genre that a lot of books fall into. But then there's a lot of, subplots and other things going on to make it interesting and make it stand out. There's also a betrayal towards the end of the book that was an absolute plot twist, cliffhanger for me. I am dying to see what happens next. I demand justice. Beyond this overarching plot of this war going on and our various characters on different sides of this battle, most of the subplot takes place in the individual characters' POVs. So I want to talk about the characters next, and now that I know what's spoiler and what's not, I can dive into a little bit more of what they are going through. I'd say that Kaladin is the main character of this book, because even though each part flipped between which characters had their POV, Kaladin was always there. We were always with him. So I'd say that he was the main character. He used to be a very, very skilled and powerful soldier, but now he is in a position where he is a slave. And he is really battling with this. We get flashbacks of how he got in this slave position, but also why he is so down on himself, so hopeless and in such despair. He's just kind of giving into his situation. But we do follow him as he kind of comes around to caring about his fellow slaves, the people around him, and ultimately he decides to try and help them train to protect themselves so that they can survive. They are in survival mode. Through all his struggles, Kaladin was an inspiring leader and gained the love and admiration of his men and people around him. I loved his storyline. I loved the things that he went through, and he was just amazing. He is a favorite character of this book for sure. Then I mentioned Dalinar and Adolin. Dalinar is the father, Adolin is the son. Now, when these storms come through, Dalinar goes through into these fits and he has these visions. He's like transported to another place where he sees things. And he's battling because he doesn't know if these are reflections of the past, of the future, if they're true, if they're meant to manipulate him. He doesn't know. He's given this message, you have to unite them or unite them. And it's partially from his dead brother, like his dead brother, the king, his dying words, unite them. So he's like, okay, well, I need to unite the High Princes. And so his storyline is very political as he's trying to unite his peers, like these High Princes that support the king. And this king he's something. He's kind of a paranoid, spineless young king. So Dalinar wants to support his nephew. He wants to unite the princes. They're fighting in this war, very political, but people are doubting him because of these visions he's having. Like, people don't know if he's going mad. Adolin, his son, is one of those that's kind of doubting his father. Like, you used to be known as this savage warrior, and now you just have this reputation of being a lunatic. Nobody knows if they can trust you, and our house is starting to fall because of all these rumors. So you need to get it together. You need to be this powerful soldier again. I think his name was Blackthorn. Like, Blackthorn was like his savage soldier name. What I really enjoyed about Dalinar, like as he's battling, is he is finding moments of like weakness when he's fighting where his strength seems to leave him, and he's really questioning death and killing and why are we doing this, and there's so much bloodshed and it's such a tragedy, and he's looking at the enemy and really questioning the necessity of all this. And I really liked those moments. Does my Disney heart good. But that's kind of what's going on in their plot. I also mentioned the point of view of a character named Shellen. She is traveling to become an apprentice to this scholar. So she has to convince the scholar to take her on and then study and support her in like this research that she's doing, but Shellen doesn't really know what the research is. But she has a hidden agenda, Shellen does, because this scholar is like a sorceress kind of, and the power is housed in like this gemstone or this rock or something. So Shellen wants to steal it because her house is in a lot of debt and she needs to find a way to save herself and her brothers. So she's thinking they can steal this stone and they can use it for their own purposes. So she's really there to kind of infiltrate the system and steal this stone and get away with it, right? She doesn't want to be discovered. So that is her journey, but she also is finding that she's really enjoying the independence this life offers her, and she really loves philosophy and questioning things and history. She's really enjoying being a scholar. So that is her dilemma that she's going through. Oh, I also met Hoyd. This was really cool. He's a character that runs throughout the Cosmere, so I was so excited to see his name. Throughout most of these 1,000 pages, those character plots are very independent of each other, but you know, they have something to do with each other. Nothing in this is random. Even the interludes with other supporting characters, you can see little threads of how they will intertwine or how they could be related. And so a lot of them do come together towards the end. Brandon Sanderson is known of being a master of endings, and that is definitely true here. The last part was that part 4 and part 5, which was like a little sliver. Things were moving fast. The pieces were falling into place. POVs and storylines and plots were coming together. There was that cliffhanger I mentioned. There's a lot of cliffhangers. This is a book 1. You know there's more gonna be going on in book 2. But yeah, the plots did seem to be mostly independent for these characters until the last 2 parts. For the magic system. Now this is something that really confused me, and truthfully I don't know if I'm just missing something or if we were only granted introductions to the different magical elements and then later on they will all come together. I don't quite know, but I'm okay with ambiguity because it gets me excited to keep reading. So Dalinar and Adolin have shard blades and shard plates. Shard plates give them a lot of protection. It seems like they can jump off small cliffs and be okay. They're good in battle. They're just stronger and a little bit more protected. The blades they can summon out of thin air. I almost think it's a mist. I wonder if they they summon it out of mist, which makes me think of Mistborn series, which I have read. Not sure if that's related. I'm looking for all these threads because Brandon Sanderson has this Cosmere, this bigger world, and it's all related. And I'm not sure if that's related. But anyways, they can summon these blades out of mist, and they're high-powered weapons. Now, you can get one of these shard blades if you kill the shard bearer, or the blade bearer, and take the blade from them. So that's how these people get these things. There's also these gemstones that they're battling over that they take from their enemy when they win the battle. I'm not quite sure about those. Also, their currency holds stormlight, like an actual literal light that can light things up. And then you can drain the stormlight from the currency, or some people can, which one of our characters gets enhanced strength from. It seems like this stormlight power can enhance skills and abilities that one already possesses. So that's kind of neat, and one of our characters plays around with that. There's also some like elemental magic where someone can take a boulder blocking a pathway and turn it to mist. So again, really not clear how all of this is related yet. The tone of this book seemed to be similar to other Brandon Sanderson books that I have read, and that is that all of our main characters have a very strong moral compass, and they're often considering what is right, what is true, what is the right thing to do. They don't always make the best decisions, and they have their own struggles, but generally they're all really good guys that want to do the right thing. And, you know, grimdark fantasy has its time and its place, but I think generally this is more of my kind of fantasy when we have mostly good guys trying to do good things. And a lot of them are super intelligent and strategic, which is also something I really, really, really enjoy. I find that so satisfying. So the tone of this book, I'd say good moral compass, uplifting. We have the good guys, satisfying, but there's still, there's still a lot to go in this series. So we'll have to see how that turns out. My overall reaction to the book. Most of the time when I was reading it, I'd say up until part 4, which is like majority of the book, this was reading like a 3.5, 3.75 because it was slow moving. It did read very much like just a foundation of the world and introduction to the characters and the magic. And not too much was like coming together for me, and I was really confused why a lot of this mattered. There's a lot of like flashbacks that I don't necessarily care about. I did like that each part of the book told us which character POVs we were going to be reading from. That helped me keep it straight, because I typically find with jumping timelines and multiple POVs, I get really confused and detached from the book. But that really helped structure my reading. So that wasn't too bad in this. But it felt like 1,000 pages. Up until part 4, and then also that little sliver part 5, things really picked up. And I knew this would happen. I had faith in Brandon Sanderson, because he does this to us, that things would pick up and things would start coming together. And I flew through it. I flew through parts 4 and 5 in one sitting, because I had to see what was going to happen next. And so that bumped it up from like a 3.5 to a 4-star for me. And it's still only a 4-star. I'm debating if I liked it or loved it. I think I'll have to sit with it a little bit to see like which category it falls into. But it's a solid 4 because it did its job of setting the foundation. I am expecting to be blown away with book 2, but I think book 1 did its job introducing me to the concepts, the plot, yada, yada, yada. Still really confused. I'm confused with Dalinar's visions. I feel like I'm supposed to know what they mean at this point, and I don't. I feel like I need to reread that. There's also a revelation in Shallan's point of view that I want to reread because I'm like, huh? I think I get it. I think I get where that's going, but I need to check in on that. Kaladin. Fully understand what's going on with him, but I'm so excited to see what happens next for him. Again, favorite character, favorite storyline, really enjoy that. I really love all these characters. Yeah, I think I said that in my last check-in. I really love them, and I think that's all because of what I was saying with the tone, is that they all have a desire to do the right thing. So I'm so excited to see what happens next. So 4-star read, really, really enjoyed it, and so happy to continue with the Stormlight Archives. I think I'm really going to enjoy this series, which is good because they're all like 1,000-page books. So I am in for it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me in this video. This was one of my 24 books to read in 2024, so I'm off to a great start. Happy reading until I see you in the next video. you.